So we have Anand here, who's going to be talking about his brand story and about how they build storytelling. So over to you, Anand. Mike.
I'm deep break. Not quite. Hi. How's everyone doing? I'm gonna stand because I've been sitting at the back and I know how hard it is to really see who's up here. So if I can see everyone, you can see me. How are you? I have insane imposter syndrome usually, and now after Sana and Radhika, this is absolutely, it's going to be massive shoes to fill. So I'm going to try as much as I can, but please forgive me because I've actually not done this format ever. Usually, if you ask me about botanicals, you ask me about distillation, you ask me about gin nuances, I'm very good. Get me to talk about how to build a brand. Yes, I've done it myself, but not really adept at talking about it. So I will try and get my way through it. I have got notes, so I will often look at it because Anisha very conveniently gave some questions that I should try and answer in this whatever 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes I have. Yes, excellent. Okay, right. I wanted to give a quick introduction for all. How many of us are gin drinkers? Hey, brilliant. There's a few who aren't, so that's fine, that's great. How many have had either Greater Than or Hapusa? Well, I don't need to talk to you guys, this is great. Okay, but I will give a quick introduction for the few people who have not experienced either of these brands. Those are the two brands. There's Greater Than, which is the London dry gin. There is Hapusa, which is a Himalayan dry gin. Both are made in Goa. One of the few things I get asked a lot is, why Goa? Why is everyone going to Goa? I don't know. We started off there absolutely by chance. We had actually planned out everything to be located near Pune, and suddenly we said, we'd lined up a couple of meetings. Let's just go and see what happens in Goa. We came to Goa and we realized, we can do it 1/10 of the cost here. We found someone we really like to work, or we thought we would like to work with, and it did turn out that way, so it was great, good story. Yeah, but I mean, what was challenging for us was I had worked with, my name is Anand, did I say that? My name is Anand, yeah. I'm going to be all over the place. Without these notes, I'm going to struggle. I had worked with brands like Glenfiddich, Hendrix, Balvenie, Remy Cointreau, Remy Martin and Cointreau. And in all my time, I realized that I had worked with brands that were already established. So doing this was supremely scary. And if you go to the next slide. No, that's, yep, too far. There you go. That's the title of this, I think, Building Brands That We Want to Drink. If you go to the next slide, there you go. I think one of the challenges we had was to say that, well, what is a brand that we like? We have this massive opportunity, and how this opportunity came about was we were listening. We happened to be working. I did incidentally gotten laid off from a job, and world had ended because suddenly you were getting a salary and suddenly you weren't. It wasn't because of me, but the entire company shut down, and I was one of the 15 people that found myself without a job. Which was not a very good time, not a very fun time. And in that time, I tried doing lots and lots and lots of things, none that I was really happy with, until I met a friend and colleague who said, listen, you know a thing or two about wine. Do you want to start a wine bar? I was like, yeah, that's great. I mean, I'd been doing all the spirit stuff, trying to actually get into wine. So we started this wine bar called Perch in Delhi. And of course, as it happens, I was running towards wine, and within the first week, we realized that a lot of people are coming and asking about gin, and they seem to know a thing or two about it. There are people who are asking about, hey, can I get a gin and tonic with 3 slices of cucumber in them? I'm like, where were you when we were launching Hendrix, man? Because no one wanted anything to do with gin when in 2009, 2010, when we were launching Hendrix. We would spend tons of money on making this great showcase, and people would show up saying, can I get a glass of wine, please? So here we were in a wine bar, people are coming and asking for gin and gin tonics. I'm like, okay, all right, there's something here. Wouldn't it be funny if someone was to make a gin brand coming from India? Because what is gin made of? Spices. We are in the heart of, spice capital of the world. the gin and tonic is really the most common way of drinking gin, and guess what? Gin and tonic was invented in India, something we didn't know. I saw a couple of faces go, all right, really? There is some learning here. So the question was, okay, we're going to do this. So what is a brand that potentially, we can emulate? Because, I worked with Glenfiddich. So I'd worked with a brand, I thought I knew marketing. But the problem was I knew marketing within that realm. I had been given a set of things that the brand universe, the brand assets. What does the brand say? What does the brand not say? What is the brand language? So I had experienced working with Glenfiddich in that sense. So yes, I knew marketing, but I knew marketing a brand that was already set in its ways, a brand that knew what it was already about. Very much like, for example, KFC. I know this is Food Nerd Festival, I'm not supposed to talk about KFC, but if you may. This is what I had yesterday for breakfast. But also Nike. These are some of our favorite brands, and they have a very set tone, they have a very set language, they have a very set universe, right? And the problem was when we started, it was, if you go to the next slide. Oh no, if you go to, yeah, it was this. And this was scary. I don't know, how many of us are trying to start businesses or have started businesses recently and everything? If you're at this stage, oh my God, this is so scary. Because you could do anything, right? And it sounds glamorous that, oh, you can, this whole, you can be your own boss thing. Oh my God, you're your worst boss. But this whole thing of, you can start from scratch, you can make it beautiful, you can make it great. The problem is you want to make it like one of those brands, maybe not KFC, but you want to make it iconic, yeah? You envision your brand to be this beautiful thing that people are going to fall in love with. And you don't know where to start, you don't know where to put pen on paper, right? You sit there looking out the window thinking, oh my God, this is the scariest thing ever. And then you start and you realize, does anyone recognize this brand? Do you? This is what Hapusa looks like? No, this was the first iteration. This was actually the 10th, but this is the first one I can actually show you. It looked half decent, but in our mind, when we started, it's just about, I think someone said it earlier today, it's just about put the next step, foot in front of the next foot and just do it, put horse blinders on and just do it. And that's exactly what we started doing. And we started fumbling around, we started, looking for spices, we started looking for botanicals, and we knew nothing about distilling. Literally, it was Googling, how do you make gin? What do you make gin with? I knew as much as I had known during my time at Hendrix, whatever I'd been told by the guys at Hendrix that, listen, when you go for a training, say this. That's what I knew. I had seen a distillation before. That's what I knew. But there was this sudden realization at some point that I was going to have to make the gin. Because I had walked around, I'd met, all the right people in India and realized no one wanted to make gin because they just thought there was no market for it. It was only us who believed in it because we had heard enough people walk in and out of our restaurant going, hey, I want gin. So no one believed in this whole gin idea. No one wanted anything to do with craft because all of Indian spirits and all of Indian beverages are built on scale and volume. So if you're not talking hundreds of thousands of liters, hundreds of thousands of cases a month, that's the door. And I got shown the door in those many words across India, basically saying, I'm sorry, why are you wasting our time? Right? So it quickly dawned on us, well, not quickly, it took a year for it to dawn on us that we were going to have to do this ourselves. And effectively when we started, well, if you go back one, that's Hapusa, that, we were thinking we want to make a bartender-friendly gin, something that, bars like ours, would be happy to kind of make cocktails with, happy to make it a pouring brand because there was such a massive need, right? All we had available to us, to all these people who were coming in asking for craft gin was Blue Ribbon, which was 300 rupees a bottle, or, generic, mass-produced but imported brands and hence premium which were at 1800 rupees a bottle sorry, this is Bangalore, yeah, but Delhi pricing. Uh, just multiply by 3 in Bangalore. But like Bombay Saf, Gordon's, Tanqueray, good brands, but generic and not what the people walking into our place were asking for. They were asking for something craft, and that's what we tried to do. So we came across this word Hapusa, which actually means juniper in Sanskrit, and we loved it. And we're like, wow, we're gonna call it, this thing. And we found this bottle that worked really well with bartenders, etc. And we started going down this direction, and then we realized, yeah, there's this beautiful juniper that grows in India, and that's what's called Hapusa. Let's make another gin. So now all of a sudden we've gone from this, nervous breakdown of making one gin to double the nervous breakdown of making 2 gins. So we're like, okay, we'll make another one and we'll call it, thank you, Bond's Calcutta Dry Gin. Bonds apparently was this person who invented tonic water, and in our minds, all the research I'd done pointed at gin and tonic was probably invented in Calcutta, but it could have been in Madras. So, but we went with the whole Calcutta story because we're like, we can't figure out either way, so we started going down this path, and we obviously we did the typical mistakes of cliches, and let's put a yellow taxi on it and it'll look great and all that. So we've made these mistakes is what I'm getting at, and that's why like I said, I've never shown these, because these were all things that we now look back and saying, what the hell were we thinking? If you go to the next slide as well, these were the first few iterations of what Hapusa was becoming, and we finally found a bottle that we liked, but we couldn't decide if we wanted to keep it clear, we couldn't decide if we wanted to keep it coated, what kind of design we wanted. I really liked this one. This one, I don't know if you can see, it's got the Howrah Bridge kind of printed on it, and again we were just jumping from one cliche to another, and we were thinking that this is what people are going to like, and that was a big mistake, right? One of the questions that Anisha very kindly gave to me was, how do you tell an honest story? And I think the honest story is what it truly is. And we actually, at some point in Perch, we got a whole bunch of people together, some that we knew, some that we didn't, and we held up big boards of these, and I think there were 8 different variations to this, and we held up big boards and said, which one do you like? Do you like this? Do you like that? Do you like that? And I think at the end, people were just confused. And in our minds, we're like, why are you confused? Look at this one, it's so pretty. Look at this one, it looks like a ration card, and it talks about the whole, the colonial kind of history to India and gin and tonic. Absolute cliches, right? It's that I think Sana was talking about, putting an elephant on the label and the paisleys and everything. And thankfully, we didn't go down that far. But in its own way, there's like a mosquito wing down there, if you can see it. But we were basically, gin and tonic was invented because of the mosquito. So we want to tell all these stories, we want to fit all of that on there, and we realized we were just confusing people, because people are like, wait, you're calling it Bengal dry gin, and there's a mosquito, and you're saying forest Himalayan juniper, and tell me what is it? It's a ration card? What the hell, So we kind of had to then simplify and move back and say, what are we really trying to say? And what we were trying to say is, it's a great gin, right? And it's a gin that you will like. And what's the basis of that gin is the Hapusa, right? The Hapusa is the juniper. So we liked the fact that the purple was, the color of the ripe juniper berry. We liked that Hapusa itself, yelled out to you. And then we dropped very painfully. So at that point, it felt so painful that we were not going to call it Bengal dry gin, because I was totally invested in it. And I think they tell you that the smart thing is, don't fall in love with your own brands, right? But you absolutely do. You must, right? And all of us, the first thing we do is we do the branding. The second thing we do is we do the business cards. And you're like, it's going to be so great. I'm going to give it to all my friends. And anyway. But we dropped Bengal dry gin and we called it a Himalayan dry gin, and we stuck to one story. And I think while that was painful, that was very necessary for us to do. The other question, actually, if you go on, I don't know what I've lined up. Oh, okay, I should probably talk about something else before. The other question was, how do you build a human brand? I think the whole point is we are humans. So don't ask ChatGPT. I know someone told us before that, oh, just put it into ChatGPT. We have the ability, but I think it's important to tell our story. And at the end of the day, if you go next, this is who we are. And this is really what people want to know. People don't want to know the facade of your brand. They want to get inside your brand. They want to know, again, this is specifically for craft, all right? It's maybe not for big brands, etc., but specifically for craft, I think people really care about what they are drinking, what they're putting into their body, because it is as basic as that. You are putting this thing into your body, whether you're eating it, whether you're drinking it. So of course you should care where it comes from and who's making it, who's the person at the distillery, who's the person handling the spices and all of that, and really at some level it's about the branding, and we talked about the branding a little bit, but it's also the brand. It goes beyond just the branding, and the brand lives in everything that you do outside of it. So it's the people that you meet. Sometimes you just, for example, we're drinking beer, but that is very much on our Instagram page. And the Instagram page for us is a big part of our storytelling, because it's still a bit of a gray area. We could get shut down tomorrow because we're alcohol and we're not supposed to be advertising, but it's a risk we have to take because it's really our only outlet. We cannot advertise, thankfully, because even if we could advertise, I don't know if we could afford it. So this is great. One of the things that struck me when we started this was Blue Ribbon was pretty much the only other gin in the market. And I don't know if you remember, it used to be a frosted bottle. And that all, again, from their perspective, I think they wanted to kind of do frosted bottle for gin and clear bottle for vodka, so that people can differentiate. But it always threw me off because I was like, what are they trying to hide? So a large part of what we've been doing is actually being transparent. Removing that frosting on the bottle. That's why Greater Than, for example, has no frosting. Right? It was almost a given. In fact, when we went to the bottle manufacturers before, they said, oh, you're making a gin, right? So you will like this frosting, maybe this frosting. Oh, no, you don't want a frosting. Oh, why? How will people know that it's a gin? I'm like, we'll write gin. But yeah, I think this often seems scary to kind of put yourself out there. But I think it's that song, right? Kendrick Lamar, "Show Me the Stretch Marks," right? It's the real thing. We don't use Photoshop as much, right? We probably should a little bit sometimes, but it's real. I mean, for example, I should have probably cropped out the top, but that was me yesterday at 4:48 p.m. doing this. But yeah, how do we build a brand that connects with people is by being the people that we want to connect with. And if I want to connect with my brand, then most likely maybe other people also want to connect with it, potentially. Did I cover it? Yes. Can we go next? Yeah, and again, talking about the pluses as we did in the previous one, and then sometimes we talk about terrible cocktails that we all make for each other. We talk about how some of our workers are, including myself, find ways to be cranky, and people love it. We talk about wins. We also talk about losses, and we take it in our stride. And I think everyone appreciates that honesty and transparency. And I guess that's really key to building a human brand. I think for all of you who are in the process of building brands or have already built brands, I read this too late. But again, that whole imposter syndrome of, are we doing the right thing? Have we built the new Nike? I loved reading this book because there's something in there about it where he says that, oh yeah, we hired a college student to design this. I think it's a famous story now. But the part that's maybe not so famous is actually Phil Knight did not like that logo. He agreed to that logo and to the name Nike because of a deadline, which I have done as well, and I've felt stupid about. But then I thought, okay, if someone else has done it and someone like Phil Knight has done it, yeah, can be fine. I mean, again, you don't know, right? It's that blank slate. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if the step you are taking is in the right direction or not. The great thing about it, and I think there was a question here about rebranding, you can go back and rebrand. We have tweaked our brand over the years very subtly, which I don't know if people realize, maybe a lot of people don't. We have tweaked our recipe and made it slightly better over the years, which again, we're craft, we're allowed to. And yeah, it's fine. There, this is not mine, but I really like these cards. Right when we were starting off, and I was about a year away from actually starting the business, we came across this really cool talk by Distill Ventures. Incidentally, people who then later invested in us, which was fun. But they handed out these cards, this pack of cards, and I loved them so much. So I've scanned most of them, and I pulled them out for this because I thought if any of you can kind of benefit from this, there's three that are on here. One is, of course, you are the business, which is why I had to grow a beard. Exceed expectations, I think behave properly and don't fuck up, because yeah, that's why I live under a rock now, just zero chances of fucking up. I really like this. I think initially when we launched Greater Than, everyone, including our own sales team, who were one or two of them were fairly old school, who said, okay, yeah, we're gonna go meet retailers, we'll give them pens, right? Branded pens is what we will give them, that they love it. Let's not, right? Let's do something meaningful. So we always find ways to do something meaningful for them, whether it is, every year we send out a cake on our birthday, on the 30th, mainly to retailers and also to some of our favorite accounts, some of our favorite people, etc. And it's not a gin infused cake. It does not have alcohol, right? Again, it's one of those things that you're like, oh, gin company sending cake must have gin in it, because they're constantly trying to feed us gin, right? So this must be another covert way of making sure we drink their gin. No, actually, it's not. It's just really good cake, it's just a nice way of us to say thank you, and it's nothing linked to it. If you eat 2 bites of this cake, you must sell 2 cases. No, there is nothing. Just enjoy it, share it with your team, etc. And we end up sending. This year we sent I think about 1,300 cakes or something like that around the country, which was nuts. Done by Brownie Cottage, by the way, if anyone cares. Bombay Brownie Cottage, excellent cakes. And I think this is something that we're not new anymore. It's been, I think 2017 is when we launched. But I really took this to heart, and I really appreciated it. I think for the first 3 years, it was unbelievable. The entire time at William Grant's or at Remy Cointreau, I was running after media, I was running after journalists and saying, listen, our brand ambassador is coming down from Scotland, he's going to be wearing a kilt, please come say hi to him. And here it was the other way. I think somehow the news got out there that we were building this gin, and PR just happened. Media just happened. People just gave so much love, not because we asked for it, but it just happened, and it was great. And I think because we were new, and possibly in a new category as well, it just happened, and we absolutely loved it, and we were and we are today at the scale that we are because of that platform that we got from just being new. Did I cover everything? Thank you, Anisha, Rohita, Anusha. That was right on top, sorry. Thank you for having us. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Would anyone have questions?
You can take
Yes.
about 2 to 3 questions.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so thank you for that. That was very fun, very engaging.
Thank you.
I'm going through a similar process of ideating a brand and building a brand, right? And I know you speak to people and you see what kind of packaging works and what doesn't. But after a point of time, it does feel like building in an echo chamber and thinking what you like and what you don't. So in hindsight, what are some green flags that you saw in the final packaging that you stuck to and that went to market on your first launch? Like what are some green flags that you saw in that packaging?
So, I don't know if did everyone hear the question?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so honestly, we struggled a bit because we found ourselves going into a bit of a loop. You know, when we were doing those focus groups and everything, and I was putting whatever I had learned in business school, I guess, to the test. I'm like, all right, we've got a package now. We must show people, and we must do A/B testing, and we must do all of that. It's great to get feedback. The problem is everyone's got feedback to give, and it would be amazing if everyone's feedback was the same, but it's not. Right? So you kind of have to collect feedback from 30 people, 40 people, 100 people, however many. Kind of look for the things that are similar, kind of recurring, and put the rest in the trash. At the end of the day, it needs to be something that the brand needs to be something that you can be happy with. Potentially, you may not be happy with it at that time, but potentially you could be happy with it. I'm not saying I was the most convinced person about our brands when we first put it out there, but I love them now. And I cannot imagine them any other way. And I found, I look back at those pictures and I think, what the hell were we thinking? I think there comes a point where you have to kind of put a stop to the feedback as well. Because if you ask, people will tell. If I go out today and I ask people about the same thing and say, what do you think I should change? I guarantee you no one will say, no, it looks nice. They will be, oh, it's cool, make it bigger, make it smaller. Family was just, oh my God. Everyone thinks like, they all, own the right to tell you everything. So I stopped talking to so many people in my family after that. I was just like, you should put in citrus and, you should, put in more this thing and, like, oh, no, I'm not. So draw a line at the point where you think you're going to be happy with it and you can live with it. Yes, take feedback, but don't take all the feedback. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
You're
We have
welcome.
time for
Thank you.
one more question. And anyone has any more questions, they can hopefully take it offline.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
please.
here. Oh, sorry. Got someone else back there. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
In your case, I just want to understand the brand story over there because you found your customers right at Perch, right? Like, as in, like, you found, like, you realized that there is actually a customer, gin taster. So, was it difficult for you to find the customers after that, or was it was it like already there? You just had to like grow your base after that, or how was it like?
It still is. It's not a given. I think initially we got a lot of people who kind of came into the space who knew about gin and wanted to know about gin, etc. Honestly, at Perch, because yes, of course, we knew that these people were coming in, but we were also very careful about not living in the echo chamber, as you were saying, because these are people coming into our space. Obviously, they'll be nice to us, right? So we made sure we would also do this outside of our space, and we would do it with we would do this with people who knew nothing about us. So I would very often show up at a friend's party and just go around the place saying, look at this bottle. What do you think? Not saying that I've made it or whatever. What do you think? What is this? Local gin. And local was such a bad word. So we were so scared about that as well, that local, because we grew up in the 90s, right? And local for us was cheap, mass produced. It will fall apart. 100% it will fall apart. And especially if you say local as local, gone. So local gin was something we were very scared about, but yes, we did talk about it, we championed it, and we were very surprised to see that people were forthcoming. To your point about reaching out, to your question about reaching out to new consumers, we still don't know where the hell they're coming from. We literally, it's a if you build it, they will come kind of a situation. We believe they're coming from possibly just growing up and becoming 21 years old, and first drink is Greater Than, not Old Monk, right? Which it was for me. Breezer and Old Monk is, you know. So I think for us, I think what we wanted to do was make sure that we got our quality right. And I think above all, and I've not said it enough during this presentation, during this presentation, I love Freedom Tree, by the way. Where was I? Quality. We really stressed hard about quality, not just to ourselves, but to all our customers as well, all our direct customers, we absolutely invite everyone and anyone who wants to make the trek if they're in Goa and, you know, whatever, living in Baga or Kalangut or whatever, and wanted to make that trek to, you know, to see us for an hour and a half, we welcome them with open arms. You know, because we want people to see that we take quality seriously, and I think above all, that has played a big role in people accepting it. And yeah. Thank you guys, thank you for listening. Thank you guys for organizing this, thank you for having us.
So the next speaker